one. Working effectively among different cultures has become paramount for any health professional. After attending this university for a number of years, we were excited at the prospect of putting into practice all that we had learnt in a completely new setting. We decided to volunteer in Cambodia for 1 month through projects abroad. We knew it would be a challenge, and we knew it would be rewarding. We could not wait to start. Today, we will present to you an overall picture of our placement experience, the key issues we faced working in Cambodia, and the lessons we learnt as we attempted to address these issues.
Cambodia is unique. A tragedy suffered only 35 years ago has defined its entire history and shaped its culture. It is looking to put its past behind it and eradicate the many inconsistencies that exist in a developing country, one affected by genocide. Similar to other aspects of Cambodia, the development of the healthcare system has been restricted. As a result, people in Cambodia experience significantly poorer levels of health compared to those living in developed countries. There are a number of development issues that contribute to this. Firstly, the limited access to healthcare services. Poorer farmers make up approximately 75% of the population, and most live in rural communities isolated from services vital for upkeep of health. A major concern in Cambodia's capital city, Phnom Penh, is the number of educational facilities available for children and young adolescents. Numbers in many classes already exceed what we in Australia consider to be standard. Finally, the occurrence of child abuse, exploitation, and neglect in Cambodia is alarming. Parents often work long hours and at unusual times of the day, leaving the children home alone or keeping them up late into the night. Each of these health and development issues were present during our time in our placement in Cambodia.
We were placed in one of 9 centres established by the Khemera organisation. These 9 centres provide a place for children to be while their parents are working and offers an opportunity for the safe interaction with other children. We were assigned to Sa Le. The centre was only 1 month old. It was the teacher's first time working in daycare. The children had never been in a daycare before, and we were the first Westerners the children had ever had contact with. Our role at the centre was to assist the teachers in caring for and teaching the children. Almost instantly, we were in charge of the daily running of Sa Le. Being in charge of 45 children between the ages of 2 and 7 and one 13-year-old was no easy task, but one we adapted to quickly. The centre was an hour tuk-tuk ride, approximately an hour north of the city, near many industrial warehouses and factories. The early morning ride became our first challenge, as we were bombarded with a cacophony of noise and smells. The dust, bumps, and near misses were both physically and emotionally draining, but gave us the opportunity to prepare any lessons and activities for the day ahead. The ride home became a time of debriefing. We were able to discuss the day's events and come up with ideas on how to make the next day even better. We've put together a short video to give you an idea of our normal day volunteering in Sa Le.
At Sa Le, the teachers spoke minimal English and the children spoke close to none. This made lesson and playtime challenging as we could not verbally explain our concepts or games. When initially trying to teach the children certain activities, they struggled to understand and quickly lost interest. I regrettably started to limit the number of activities I attempted, as they would have been hard for me to teach. This was the wrong attitude. What I learnt in the last remaining days at the placement was to be patient with the children, as there is always a way. I altered a number of games to include the local language and focused on using body language and hand gestures to portray my thoughts. One game that was extremely successful was Duck, Duck, Goose, changing the words to Dear, Dear Cla, Duck and Tiger. The familiarity seemed to interest the children and held their attention for longer. This is an important lesson that has changed my own personal attitudes and will shape my approach as a health professional. While overcoming some of the most difficult challenges might seem impossible, you cannot simply give up. It is also important to never make assumptions of what you think someone is capable of learning and understanding.
Throughout Cambodia as a whole, it is widely accepted that most children and the elderly will be sick. It is not a cause for concern, it is a part of daily life. In our centre, almost all the children had some form of cough or flu. The Khemera organisation organised doctors' visits every fortnight, and, just like in Australia, there is a great respect for the medical profession. During the visits, the children would sit patiently, watch, and wait for their checkup. The doctor would prescribe a number of vitamins and, in some cases, antibiotics for the children. Many of the issues the children were experiencing were easily prevented and stemmed largely from absent healthy behaviours, such as hand washing, teeth brushing, and the correct disposal of rubbish. In my travels, I was made aware that many individuals in a floating village in Siem Reap would never leave. If they were sick, they would attend a local doctor who might administer a number of traditional medicines, including foods made with the roots of a particular tree. Only serious cases would find their way to a big city, and, on most occasions, the problem had gone untreated for so long that the outcome could no longer be altered. I can't imagine how many cases could have been easily prevented if the individuals had taken the protocols that you or I would here in Australia. Here lies the fine line, a lesson I became aware of through discussions with other volunteers. Do we allow individuals to live a traditional life, or do we force a Western influence upon them? It may prolong their life for a little bit longer.
Projects Abroad and the Khemera organisation are in the process of initiating development profiles for each child. The profiles will include milestones for motor, cognitive and emotional development. I felt very passionately about these profiles as I saw their value for both volunteers and the organisation. Immersing myself within the culture and the placement was a very long process. I and many other volunteers would have benefited greatly from these development profiles, as they would have provided realistic expectations and focus for lesson plans. For the organisation, they will be a form of monitoring and an important tool for allocating resources. The profiles were not implemented during my time at the placement. However, I took the initiative to begin incorporating development features into lesson and playtime. One particular area I found quite shocking was the children's lack of creativity and ability when colouring and drawing. This issue was impacting upon both their physical and cognitive development. I was determined to overcome this problem by exposing the children to more opportunities to use their imagination and teach them correct pencil grip. As the weeks progressed, some children began drawing their own creations and learnt how to correctly hold a pencil. This experience taught me to plan and implement ideas and activities that have an effect not limited to the present. I am proud I took this initiative as it has developed my confidence in being proactive, an essential component of any health profession.
A large proportion of the children at Sa had rotten and blackened teeth. It was always a plan of mine to introduce compulsory teeth brushing, but after seeing this, the idea was fast-tracked. After organising supplies and handing them out, we realised that the kids already knew how to brush their teeth. They had obviously seen it before. This may have been an indication that the parents did not understand the benefits of brushing or were unable to afford the necessary supplies. What was most astonishing was that volunteers at the other 8 centres had not yet implemented teeth brushing as a part of their daily schedule. Every day, the children were very quick to open wide and show everyone their freshly brushed teeth. This, of course, would only happen after they had come back for toothpaste, again and again. This particular part of our placement was a complete success. As a result, we introduced 2 other policies, a hand washing and a rubbish bin policy. Both of these were, by the end of our placement, successful. However, their implementation was much slower and at times frustrating. So what did this teach me? As a health professional, it is important to understand that change is gradual. For me, it was an important reality check. We had had success in a number of other activities and were confident we could continue making positive changes. It was a realisation that care needed to be taken in everything we did, and if we didn't prepare properly, things would not progress as we planned. It was just as important to consider all the small steps, small wins, rather than small fails.
Just before we finish, we would like to go back to the first two questions we asked you. We want to highlight the range of experiences and emotions that can be present when in contact with a new culture. For us, our most confronting experience was being immersed in a culture that has faced a heartless history. The Khmer Rouge saw Phnom Penh deserted. Buildings were destroyed and all signs of the educated were eliminated. On visiting the killing fields and the security prison 21, all that we had previously learnt seemed to become reality. The photo on the left is of the killing tree, against which executioners beat children. On the right, our most memorable experience, Dirty Weekend. We were lucky enough to be able to give our centre a much-needed facelift. What made this more unforgettable was having a number of the children from Svalbard come into the centre and loved the new look and were keen to help out.
The 1 month we had in Cambodia challenged us physically and emotionally. Our expectations and values were altered throughout our experience, and the way we approached certain issues changed as we developed in knowledge, skill, and teamwork. Many of the issues we face are not limited to Cambodia and can be found throughout the developing world, and on reflection, globally. Our approach to making a difference was much more realistic than that of many other volunteers. It is because of this attitude and our extensive preparation that we believe the contributions we made will have a